exciting for me today to have Cindee Williams here as my guest on the Power Transformation podcast. What a loving light that I am so glad that I get to speak with today. Welcome, Cindee.
Welcome. Thank you. I am so excited to have our conversation today. I've
Thank
been
you.
waiting.
Thank you. I am too. And so let's just go ahead and jump right into this. I like to do something lighthearted and fun and just, something that has nothing to do with what we are going to talk about. But Cindee, if you were to tell me what is your favorite, and you might not have a lot of time to watch it, but if you were to watch something on television or an app like, Prime or Max or DirecTV, I don't know, any type of television show, what would be one of your favorites?
Okay, just off the top of my head, and this is my husband and I, we for like the last few months, we have been on this kick with Blue Bloods. I don't do you remember Blue Bloods? I mean, it's
My
old.
mom watched it faithfully. So I used to watch it a while ago. I fell off, but my mom watched it consistently for years.
It's maybe Tom Selleck.
Yes.
He was so good in that, and I don't know. It's just kind of like a wholesome police show. So
Uh-huh.
we've been on a roll. I don't. That's the first thing that comes to mind because I really don't watch a lot of TV. In
Hmm.
fact, if my husband's gone, I don't even know how to turn the TV on by myself. I don't want to learn. I don't want to. There's too much of life to be lived.
So are you more of a reader, an outdoorsy person? What do you do in your pastime?
Right. I would say both of them.
Okay.
So we wake up at 4 a.m. every morning.
Uh-huh.
We read, we study, we write, and then we're outdoors. I that is the fix every day, the non-negotiable.
Uh-huh.
And same thing I feel as empty nesters, we've had to learn a whole new routine for the evening because we're
Yeah.
no longer chauffeurs and chefs and counselors and all those
Yeah.
things. So we have developed a evening routine that's kind of more, hey, let's have dinner, let's cook together, let's go take a walk around the block, let's do something besides watch. And it's, you know what? It's really easy to fall into that pattern.
Yeah.
Let's just sit here and watch TV.
But I like that too because it shows that even when the kids are at the house, you can still be active and vibrant, and that you don't, as you grow older, you don't have to be quote unquote like old people. You're not old, but you know how certain people get to be a certain age and the kids are grown and think, oh, life is over. It's only beginning.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah, because I mean that it's a mindset. It
Yes.
really is. And so that's what I mean by that. You're definitely not elderly or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, I think for someone listening or watching who may be empty nesters too, that's
Right.
your time to really, and especially ones who are married or have someone with them, like that's really your time to make the best of your relationship and your marriage too. And that begs this next question, Cindee, is we're going to talk about this empty nester aspect too, but in thinking about you and your identity and who you are, if
Mhm.
someone were to ask who is Cindee Williams, what would you say?
I love this question so much because we always answer with what? We
Hmm.
always answer with what we do and list off the tasks and the titles and all those things. But I love to answer it this way now. And it comes from a verse in Psalms. It
Hmm.
says that I am like an olive tree flourishing in the house of the Lord. And that's who I want to be now, and that's who I want to become. I want to be that olive tree that works every day to just put those roots down into the soil and just continues to learn and grow, and so that I can be strong enough to produce fruit and to put
Hmm.
out branches and shade to comfort people. And it's like you can't do that without intentionality. And we
Wow.
can't flourish without knowing who we are. And so that's I want to olive trees are beautiful. They're just elegant and graceful. They're messy, but
Yeah.
life is messy, isn't it? When we
Mhm.
produce fruit, I don't know if you know about olive trees, but you don't want them in your backyard because they get squishy olives all over the place because life can be a little bit messy. But that's who I say. That's who I am. That's who I want to be.
That's an amazing comparison. Also, when it comes to olives, I think about when you say how life can be messy. Olives are so versatile, but they're really strong in the oil form, and that the oil can be used for so much more, and it symbolizes so much. And
So
that could
good.
be a whole other show.
Yeah.
But thinking about that, I
Mhm.
like that comparison. And we'll talk more about your journey, but let's have a brief pivot here into what you do currently. So, if you were to put a label or a title on what you do and who you serve, what would you say?
Well, this is my my message
Okay.
in a sentence. So I help legacy entrepreneurs discover who they are, whom they serve, and why their work matters. So they can build businesses that bless them back. Because a lot of times maybe we built a business or we're growing a business and it's sacrificing our marriage, our relationships, it's
Hmm.
sacrificing our health, maybe even our finances, and it's just a mess. I want to help people build businesses that they get to enjoy their whole life. That's a whole
Yeah.
picture of life. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Bills, and when you say businesses that bless them back, that's really a different spin. Because ultimately, yes, we're helping others and serving people,
Mhm.
but what's the point if you too can't be enhanced by it? Just
Right.
not financially, but just also from the fulfillment
Yes.
and the imprint that you're leaving
Right,
on
right.
the planet.
Wealth is so full picture.
Uh-huh.
It's income plus impact equals significance in our life. So yeah, maybe we've been entrepreneurs almost 4 decades now. That's
Uh-huh.
really old. But
No, you're not. No.
that income, great. So you've built a company and you have some income. What does that do? What kind of
That's right.
are you doing with that? So it's blessing back so that we can make an impact. It's like,
Hmm.
what are we going to do with that? How is our life going to have significance?
Exactly. And we're going to talk a bit more about that, but I want us to just go back just a little bit, Cindee, not too far back, but this is the question that I'm a bit intrigued by is seeing who you are, such an elegant woman, a sweet spirit, but I know also a fierce, strong, confident businesswoman and entrepreneur. Looking back, though, at your childhood and your earlier years, who would you say were the key influencers in your life who almost in a way shaped your drive as well as your resilience?
That's such a powerful question. I have a good family. We moved.
Mhm.
My dad was an entrepreneur as well. I mean, a real
Oh,
estate guy, entrepreneur. So he was an ideas guy, always ideas, constantly. We did, however, move 18 times in 18 years,
every
and
year practically. Yeah.
practically every year, always a new school, always a new circumstance. So I don't discredit my family and growing up at all because did have a good childhood, but that influenced me. And one thing that I carry away from that is I wasn't in a church family.
Mm.
They would take me to Sunday school and then maybe go out to breakfast and come back and pick me up. But every place that we moved in those 18 years, every single neighborhood, there was one family, one house that I would go to, and their family would be different. Their family would go to church. Their family would read the Bible together at night. And
Mhm.
that I just think of all the little snippets of families that I connected to and all the different blocks and all the different homes that we lived in. Those were huge influences
Wow.
in life. And it carries forward. I just think for me now, we individually have impact beyond what we even know.
Mm.
Just the life that we live out loud in front of others, we don't even know we're being watched. But I was watching each and every one of those families that took me in each and one, those different neighborhoods
Yes.
had an impact on me, huge impact.
And now, were you all still kind of localized to the same state, or when you were moving, Was it different states in different parts of the country?
It was all Southern California.
Okay. Oh, well,
California, born and raised, Southern California, but always,
California's huge though. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Southern
Yeah.
California, like Orange County, down San Diego,
Uh-huh.
always different cities,
Oh,
different
wow.
neighborhoods. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was, somewhat localized, but it always
Mhm.
meant a new school, a new situation. And what happens when you're moved a lot like that is you start protecting yourself
Mhm.
because you develop friendships and then you start saying, well, why do I bother? Because
Mhm.
it's painful to move and to be torn away from those friends that you got close to. And so I noticed that I just started building up walls in my life, and those walls got higher and higher. And the problem when we build up walls to protect ourselves, the walls also keep things out. So it keeps
Mm.
out love, it keeps out friendships, it protects us, but it also isolates us. So I got very used to just depending on me, which is not a good place to be.
Yeah.
We are created to
Mhm.
live in community and connection, but I didn't know that. So that's
Mhm.
part of my story.
And when you said that, it made me think about my mom because she moved from the time of, I think, kindergarten until 12th grade. It wasn't 18 times, but she moved 11 times. And she grew up in Jersey. And so it was all in the same kind of area, but it was 11 times. And it's interesting you would say that because two things happened to her. Number one, she said when she had children, I only moved once in my childhood, once. And she said that she wanted to make sure that with her husband and kids that her children had a bit more stability. She had a great loving upbringing, but she wanted them to be more stable because it's interesting how she too built walls and protected herself from that. And I bring that up because what's so fascinating about you that I love, and maybe there's some connection here because my mom also, but you at a point, Cindee, were a teacher. You became a fifth grade teacher, and my mom actually was a teacher also. But
Yeah.
you became a fifth grade teacher. And it's so interesting that you mentioned about this building walls when really being an effective teacher, you've got to let down some walls in order to let the kids in. And so, how did that time, no matter how long or brief it was, how did that shape your perspective on even leadership and growth?
Mm. I haven't thought about that from that perspective before.
Uh-huh.
I I have a saying that I like to say, and I became a Christian when I was 22, fresh out of college, and I was
Oh.
really pretty lost, pretty rebellious because I
Mhm.
just didn't know where to land. That's why I love talking about roots, because that to me that stability that you just talked about, it's so important to me. We've been
Mhm.
home almost 30 years.
Wow. Yeah,
I
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so at 23, when I became a teacher, I would tell myself this, that I need to serve God to please people. I
Mm.
need to perform. I need to do X, Y, and Z in order for people to like me, in order to perform for people, in order
Interesting.
to gain the applause.
Oh,
And that's what I learned from my growing up years because I was constantly put into new situations. So you have to perform, you have to smile, you have to, put on the song and dance because you instantly the new kid as in freshman year in high school. That's not a fun place to be. You
no.
learn how to perform. And so really until maybe we'll talk about it in a bit, until I was 50 years old, that's the identity that I was in,
Wow.
serving God to please people, and it burned me out.
Interesting. Okay, Cindee. Yeah, interesting. And that particular aspect we didn't talk about in our
Yeah.
screening, and I'm glad that you brought that up. That's incredible, actually, especially knowing who you are now
Mhm.
and and how you grew and shaped. And thank you for answering that question. I love authenticity. And so thank you for answering it very clearly is that your journey was a little different. And I appreciate that. And I think that inspires somebody watching or listening because they can just be themselves and say, hey, when I did that, it wasn't necessarily about leadership. I just did it because X, Y, and Z.
Right, right. I was trying to
Yeah.
survive. I was trying to survive, and I do disc consulting. So my disc is
Yeah.
I'm a D. So I'm
Um,
a very assertive and just get out there and do it, results oriented,
yeah.
all of that. So
Mm,
that's I was just kind of leading from that place, and my whole
yeah.
leadership journey just flip-flopped.
Exactly.
Because I did get burned out, and by 50, I was ready. I saw it, and
Mhm.
my phrase changed from serving God to please people to please God and just serve people.
Ooh,
And
wow.
just
That gave me
and it,
chills.
it, it was so transformational to me. Like, I don't have to perform.
Hmm.
I'm loved for who I am.
Yeah,
And that's a whole story in itself. But
that's right.
that was the flip-flop of the phrase for me. And that's really has transformed my life.
And you also transformed when there was a transition made from teaching to entrepreneurship. So that's a bold move, but what prompted that shift and what were some of the early challenges that you faced in building and supporting, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you and your husband both worked in business
Yes,
together, correct? Okay, thank
yes.
you. Yeah,
Oh,
so
we always
yeah.
have, and that's an incredible journey within itself. I love working with couples because
Hmm.
um because there's so many stories in that. But I was a teacher first. I went to college to be a teacher, was a fifth grade teacher when we got married. And along that same line, 1991, my husband, we found a pressure washer in a barn, in his parents' barn. And, we needed extra cash. He was a helicopter pilot. I was a new teacher. We were, couldn't rub two pennies together. And so we go, oh, well, we'll just take this pressure washer out. And we noticed that there's restaurants that needed their
Oh,
sidewalks cleaned. So
oh
we saw a
wow.
need. And that's what entrepreneurs do, is they see a gap in the marketplace and they go, okay, I'm going to fill that gap.
Hmm.
I'm going to, bring value to the marketplace, and then we pay money for that. That's entrepreneurship. We create.
Hmm.
And so we started doing that. And then pretty soon, I'm teaching school. And then at night, I'd have my dress, my heels on. And then at night, I'd come home and I'd put on my rubber rain boots and my overalls. And we'd drive over the mountain. We live on the other side of the coastal range. And so we'd drive over the mountain into Orange County and we'd pressure wash car washes in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
You want to talk about hard work? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so he would pressure wash, and I would have the broom scrubber, and I'd be scrubbing the walls, and then we'd get
And then
home.
you'd have to get up and work the next day.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my gosh.
you
And
know,
teaching is not for wimps.
no,
You
it's
got to get up,
not.
lesson plan, teach. Oh my gosh.
That's how we started. We would stripe parking lots, paint the red
Oh
curb.
yeah.
And we did it all. And then, it wasn't long before people started taking notice and they said, hey, will you clean our office? Sure. Hey, will you clean our office building? Will you clean our movie theater? Will you clean our restaurant? Will you clean our.
Oh my gosh.
And so from the seeds of that single pressure washer in the barn grew our 33-year-old company that we sold in 2023.
That is incredible. Oh my gosh, Cindy. That is so innovative because I know I can speak for me. You look at places and you see things and you wonder like who makes the stripes in the lot
Right.
or who does it. That is that is so brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. And to know that you just kept pushing at it and doing it. And then not to mention during that time too, you actually start to have a family and that you and your husband were almost in a way living the dream, so as to speak. And so you were adventuring, you were building a life, you were raising your children, leaning into service. And so during that time, what paint a picture as to what that season of your life at the peak of your business, motherhood, marriage, all of that, living this American dream, who were you becoming in that space in comparison to who you are now?
A burned out mess.
Ooh,
truly.
let's talk about that. Wow.
Um,
What did
I,
burnout look
five,
like for
five
you?
years, 5 years into teaching,
Mhm.
I became pregnant. It took us 7 years to get pregnant with our son. Uh,
Oh.
and at the time, I was making $1,658 a month on my teaching salary. That was back in the 90s. And I said, I want to be at home with the kids. I'm going to run the back of the house of the company. I want to stay at home and raise our family. And we were able to do that. The very day that I stopped
Mhm.
working, we got our first big contract back then was a movie theater for $1,658. Exactly my teacher salary was the
My
contract.
goodness.
And
Wow.
we had that movie theater for almost 25 years until they went out of business. So we just kept grinding. And we were, always we would take the kids to Colorado, we would backpack. We were always very, wanting to take the kids everywhere that we did before we had kids.
Mhm.
But what happened when you own a business, and this is why I talk about blessing you back, is that wherever we would go, the business came with us. And you never have a downtime. I kid you not, we would, and this is, cell phones are now in the works because they weren't
Mm.
in the 90s, but by this time we would hike to a 12,000-foot mountain peak or whatever in Colorado. And it was there that we could get cell phone reception so that we could handle the latest client crisis or whatever, employee crisis or whatever that was going on. It's like we could never escape from our business. So we were really successful in building a mom and pop business, and we took it as high as we could. But what we didn't do was learn how to put the systems in place and how to work ourselves out of the job.
Mhm.
And that's when I love coming in and helping couples and families build a business that blesses them back to learn how to fire yourself
Mm.
business and stop having
Mhm.
the business own you. And now you own a company where you can enjoy your life. You can go on a vacation and not be sitting on the beach answering emails,
Yeah.
and you can enjoy your marriage and your kids and all these things. And so really it brought us, I'm going to say by the whole time period between 2010 2018, it was just strive and just I call it grind and grace, but it's a lot
Mhm.
more grind than grace.
Yeah.
It was just hard because we had reached our ceiling of what we could do. And my husband he's such a worker bee that I couldn't get him to get out. So we
Mhm.
could put people in his place. And so that's kind of what we hit the wall in 2018.
Wow. And also I know that that for us who are Christians in a Christian household, the husband leads the home, but also, for a wife and a mother, and I'm not a wife or a mom, but I'm talking about still having parents who are married 48 years later and seeing this firsthand and having a lot of people I know is that also not even to mention, which could be a totally different episode in and of itself. Yes, the father is there, present, active, everything, but also on top of you being that businesswoman, entrepreneur, partner with your husband, you have the bulk load of the kids and the household responsibilities. That's a whole other job in and of itself. So I can see how that was just piled on top of things.
Right.
Wow.
And plus, I mean, for me, it was the church, and for other women, it
Oh,
might be different organizations or sports,
yeah.
things that we're involved in. But I didn't know how to say no.
Hmm.
And I still had that performance. I have to serve God to please people. I have to keep the people happy. So people,
Mm.
oh, I see you're good at this. I need you to be in charge here, and I need you to be in charge here. And so I wore so many hats because I had no filter on what I was truly good at. I didn't really
Yeah.
know who I was and what I needed to say no to so I could work in my strength zone. And that's
Wow.
why I'm so passionate about identity work. We
Hmm.
don't have to take on the world as women. We need to focus in on our strength zone and go for it. It was all that we have, but learn how to say no to all these other things.
And
Um,
that's wisdom. And I can see how now you're passionate about really helping couples. That's wisdom because there's so many people who don't know how to say no. And then you actually had a I don't even call it a breaking point. I call it a turning point.
yes.
It was really a sense of looking back on it, it could have even been perhaps divine intervention in a strange way, but God works in mysterious ways. And you became an empty nester in 2018, and that was a significant life shift. So, how did that transition, Cindee, challenge your sense of purpose? And what new insights did it bring for you?
Yeah, I'll just 2018, 50 years old, dropped our daughter off at college.
Mm,
Our kids are 1 year apart, so dropped her off. She was the last one to go. Came back home, opened the door, and the house is different. It just is. It's quiet. So I'm not boo-hoo, I miss the kids. It wasn't that. I was so excited for them. You raise them up, they're good kids, they're out doing what they're supposed to be doing. But it was more of this identity shift. Like, okay, I don't have to take anybody to ballet tonight.
mm,
I don't have to cook for four people. All these things that I was doing are gone, like boom, just like that.
mm,
Who am I now? What it was such a loss because I hadn't done that work. I remember I was serving God and pleasing people, so I wasn't taking care of myself.
mm,
And I was taught, and I don't believe this is a good teaching, that self-help or and not even not self-care, but just knowing yourself, understanding yourself. Well, that's not biblical. That's not.
uh-huh. I've heard that.
Don't go down that personal growth road.
Mhm.
That's bad. That's a lie.
It is. It
And
really
yeah,
is.
yeah, because the more we know
Hmm.
of ourselves, the more I know God.
That's
So,
right.
and I have to know myself in order to bring value to people. So it was just as big, and we don't call it an identity crisis because that's our language. That's coaching language.
Hmm.
As a mom, I was saying, I'm lost. I'm stuck. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know who I am. Using that kind of verbiage. And it was really I launched into my own career. I launched into real estate. I wanted to show that I could build a business on my own. And
Hmm.
that, and I was able to put our daughter through college through my real estate, which was a crazy story in itself. Crazy. Sales. We're talking one home the first year. Yeah, it was really
Oh,
bad.
wow.
Um, but I did it. And just the things that I learned through that, and it kind of all accumulated in 2023. We had, how sometimes you have years where everything just happens at once.
Yes.
We had a big traumatic event with one of our adult children. We had my husband got in a huge accident. My mother-in-law broke her hip. All kinds. It
Oh,
was like boom, 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 right
uh-huh.
in a row. Uh, I found out that I had an autoimmune disorder. I wasn't feeling well. Found out I had an autoimmune disorder, and then my hair started falling out.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, it's kind of attached to my looks. You
Yeah.
and it was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Just huge clumps. And when we finally got the diagnosis, it was autoimmune, it was Hashimoto's. I actually had Epstein-Barr syndrome and a whole other myriad of
Oh,
things.
my goodness.
But my hair was gone. And it wasn't coming back. People say, you lost your hair. Well, did you find it? I'm like, no, it's not, and that's okay because my story isn't about hair. Went wig shopping with my daughter in Dallas. We named them. We had fun with it. Sassy Sue,
You named, oh, I love it.
Barb. I even got a blonde. We named her Trashy Trish. We had fun. We had fun with it. But I was a week into wearing this thing on my head, right? And my husband took me to a charity event in December, and everybody was there. All the important people were there. And it was the moment, on the dance floor when the band starts playing and there's nobody out there on the dance floor. And he said, Cindee, come on, let's go, let's go. I'm like, no, because I was feeling uncomfortable with myself. He said, no, it'll be okay. Takes me out there, gives me a twirl. And as he does, his arm catches my new hair.
Oh, my.
Empty dance floor. sends it flying in one direction. I go in the other direction. And there in the center of the dance floor is my wig.
Oh my goodness.
But I tell you, it was at that moment, it was like all the performing, all the perfectionism, everything of my whole life was sitting in there exposed on the dance floor. And it was a horrible, and I don't even know what I did. I ran to the bathroom, ran to the car, and when my husband was driving me home, I was sobbing hysterically, and he says, Cindee, stop. He poor guy, he didn't know what to do. He's like,
Hmm.
"Cindee, this will be your greatest moment."
Oh.
And I said, "How on earth would that be my greatest moment? Did you not see what just happened?"
Hmm.
Now, think about the women that you're serving right now. Think about what they're going through. Think about how they look at you now. You need to tell them about what's going on with you. You need to
Hmm.
share this story. You need to be real with them. And he's like, I think God allowed this to happen so that you could let your walls down.
Yeah.
And 4 days later, I thought, I'm never leaving the house again. Never, ever, ever.
Hmm.
Never want to see those people again.
That's right. I'm just gonna put a
So
blanket over my head.
build the walls up. I'm going to
Yep.
isolate. I'm so humiliated. 4 days later, I'm standing in front of a women's group and I share the story
Oh.
because I really felt I was prompted to share the story. And do you know that after that, right afterwards, I had woman after woman coming up to me and telling me, I mean, stories a lot more than hair, being raped by their grandfather,
Mm.
horrible, horrible
Mm.
stories. But they felt safe to come to me because I was vulnerable with them. So I started to see, hey, when I let my walls down, and I'm not performing anymore. When I'm pleasing God, like what He asks us to do, Ephesians
Uh-huh.
5:10 says, "Find out what pleases the Lord." It pleases the Lord that I'm vulnerable and that I'm real, and then I'm not trying to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. I'm a real person. I have no hair, so what?
Hmm.
I have a heart to love and to serve people. And it was really, it took stripping everything away and just finding out who I was. And I'm a
Because it- because that's a turning point moment for some women.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
'Cause I could either stay isolated, and we can, and yeah, your story may not have to do with hair. I certainly hope not,
Mhm.
but it could be a financial failure, it could be a divorce, a death, whatever in your
Mhm.
life. And we can choose to call it a day and just stay at home, close the door, and just live that quiet life, or
That's right.
we can say, no, I'm going out. I'm fighting for you. If you can't fight for yourself, I'm fighting for you. I am standing alongside of you, and we're doing this. We are doing
Mm.
life. We have a mandate on our life, a calling. It's time to go out.
Mm.
I read something this morning and I just loved it. It said, love always goes out.
Mm. That's
Yeah,
right. It's not something that you keep in.
no.
No.
And not keep love in. Love flows out.
Oh,
And so I just think about that. I'm like, yeah, yeah, we're not
wow.
called to stay at home. We're not called to
Mhm.
retire. You can stop doing your corporate job or whatever, but you got a whole lot of life left to live. And that's what that moment taught me.
That is so profound, Cindy, because what was initially your most humiliating, embarrassing moment became a moment of empowerment, a moment of someone else saying, I'm going to be courageous in spite of. And you said this to me during the podcast screening, and it stuck with me where you said that you often ask yourself or others, who are you when everything is stripped away? And so, how did you answer that for yourself, and how has it influenced what you currently do today? I know that you said 4 days later you were with that women's group, but how do you even answer that now, all these years later? Well, a few years later, from when that happened until now. Who are you when everything is stripped away?
And I'm speaking from a Christian faith, so this
Yeah, uh-huh.
But I'm a daughter of the king.
Hmm.
I have an assignment. I'm the queen of my scene, and so are you. I I have something to do. And so whenever I start feeling sorry for myself or look at somebody else who has beautiful long hair or start doing the comparison scene or whatever, I'm like, no, Cindee, no, you have your assignment. You are a daughter of the king. You
Hmm.
have gifts that I have given you. You go out and do your thing. It helps me to really focus and to align myself. It helps me to say no. I say no to a lot of things. If they don't align with who I am and how to further what I see my calling on life is, I say no.
Mm,
So I'm no longer trying to please people.
that's right.
I'm serving people from a place of love, from that place of love that goes out.
Mm. And when you finally, you know, you not only decided, Cindee, to help people in that area in terms of discovery, but you went on to eventually create your own podcast that's called the 52 Coffees podcast, and also you mentor.
Yeah.
What feels most alive in you now that wasn't there before you even did those ventures?
My family, my kids would say that they call me Mom 2.0.
Hmm.
'Cause
Wow.
who are you? Um, I was more behind closed doors. I would take care of my family. I'm not gonna say introverted, but I kind of kept to myself, just or to my family business.
Interesting.
But,
Wow.
um, it's since really 2018, and especially after 2023, and when I launched my Lead My Life program,
Hmm.
the 52 Coffees podcast, maybe this will explain your question. It came from this challenge that I gave to myself because I realized that I was withdrawing and that when things would go wrong, I would isolate. So I said, okay, this year you are going to take one woman to coffee every single week that you do not know. Could not be your mom,
Oh,
could not be your sister, somebody that you do not know. And
52
52,
for
so
the whole.
52 weeks. I
Yeah.
started doing that and I had trouble, having eye to eye contact and just having conversations and just knowing the questions to ask and just the flow, the bounce back and forth. So I go, I'm going to teach myself just by taking a woman to coffee and just finding out her story and how I could add value to her life. That was my main goal. Well, I started falling in love with that. I loved the conversations. I loved the stories. I loved being able to sit across the table from a woman, look her in the eyes, and be able to encourage and empower her life. And I realized that I had something to give.
Hold on. And Cindee, you actually literally physically started off going to coffee with different
Oh,
women
yes,
in
yes,
person.
in person during COVID.
Oh,
During COVID.
oh, I get it now. I see what you,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and it was
Oh,
mostly women because business owners are really struggling in 2020. So it was
mhm.
mostly, I invited women entrepreneurs out to coffee every week. And at first
Oh,
it was like one, and then it was like three, and then five. And then pretty soon it was like, I was going 8 to 10 coffees a week. And I'm like,
oh my
okay,
gosh.
I'm coaching these women. I'm helping their businesses. They're growing into leadership. I need this is my calling. So I
Mhm,
believe my calling in life is to build up women leaders because we as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we tend to isolate ourselves. It's a very lonely journey, can be.
mhm,
We're not going into the office every day and it can be very isolating. So I love to build up women leaders and couples and just help them to go out and pursue their calling. I love messaging, all of
mhm.
that. The
Yeah.
whole kit and caboodle.
I get it now. Okay, I totally missed that point about like that. That's how it all started. That is so wow. I don't even have the words. That blows my mind to know that. I really like that. I like the fact, and I'm sure off of that, you've built some really great bonds with some of
So
those women. Yeah.
opportunities just flood open when
Yeah,
we're willing to open the door of our home, walk over the threshold, and go out to
that's
bring
right.
people. And Yeah, it was life transforming. That's something that I do with my coaching, with the women I work with. That they're like, I just feel stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in my business. Have you gone out? Okay, today you are going out to coffee with one woman. Report back to me.
Mhm.
And they do, and they come back. I just made 7 coffee dates, and and they're so excited because when we were created to be in connection and community
Yes, we
with other
were.
people, and to have words and share ideas. And it's like when we do that, we elevate each other,
Mm.
and it's so empowering. So yeah, core principle of what I teach.
And so, Cindy, I'm pretty good at doing my research, but forgive me, and I get a lot of guests, but I did miss something, and I want to give you time just to talk about it. You talked about your program that you started. I know that you speak and you do coach and consult, but take time now to give us some details about your program, but also use this time to share how someone can learn more about you, connect with you, etc. How can we find you?
Right. So it really, January 10th, 2024. So a little over a year ago, I officially launched. I was no longer doing the beta coaching. I
Hmm.
officially
Hmm.
launched a program called Lead My Life. And lead, I believe, stands for live exceptional and advance daily. Exceptional means to do excellent differently, and advance means to move forward with purpose, and all of that to achieve our dreams. So I started it as a group coaching platform. It's a membership program. Uh, it's absolutely amazing. We meet potential to meet 3 times a week. So I wanted high access because when I went back into real estate and tried to launch something, I needed mentors, but I had no
Hmm.
access to somebody. Like I could go take a course, but I would push play and just watch them on the video screen. I couldn't ask them questions, unless I wanted to pay $30,000. I wanted
Hmm.
access. And so that's what I give my ladies through Lead My Life is access to me. We have one of my favorites is Monday morning at 7 a.m. We have our Monday morning robe roll call, and we all get on Zoom, and it's come as you are. I have
Bro,
I
I
have
like that.
I have my beanie on, and I'm
Uh,
usually going out for a run afterwards. But I share just a quick little morning nugget, and then we all call out what is our expectation for the week. What are we going to do this week? And then we hold ourselves accountable all week, hold each other accountable all week long. We have office hours, we have group coaching call on Thursday mornings, but it's just a way um, to have accountability. I call it community, connection,
mhm.
coaching, and change is what it is.
Wow.
And then we do have an in-person component for those who are in our area. It's at our Breaking Bread Mastermind. We meet once a month. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so how can people connect with you?
Yeah, but just go to leadmylife.com.
Mhm.
You can read my whole story. There's a button there. If you just want to have a talk with me, I'm a no pressure person. If you want to take half an hour and just say, hey, I'm struggling with this, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, really. Yeah, I just love connecting with women and encouraging them to go out and live their most fulfilled.
Mhm. I love that. And for the woman or even the man, Cindy, who's listening or watching this, but no, let me rephrase this. For the woman
Okay.
specifically, for the woman who's listening or watching this, and I phrase it like that because although men and women are on my show, I want to keep it specific to your target group mainly. But for the woman who's listening or watching, and they've given everything to everyone else, what's one gentle but bold invitation that you'd offer them to spark something in them to start leading their own life again?
One of the most powerful tools that I've added to my life is a morning routine. I didn't
Mhm.
have my husband always had a morning routine, and I'd watch him for a couple decades. And then I'm like, you know what? He's always so calm and has it all together. I'm overwhelmed and frazzled. Maybe I should start doing that.
Mhm.
Bring some stability to your life. Wake up in the morning. I wake up at 4 a.m. It does not have to be 4 a.m. It's your time.
Mhm.
don't answer the phone. Don't answer your email. Take that time for you first in the morning. If you could do one step, just one step every day, try doing that for 90 days and just say, I'm going to set up a morning routine. I'm going to read a little bit and then go outside and move or whatever you can. Just
Mhm.
walk around the block, walk to, whatever you find to do, just move a little bit and then see how that starts changing your life.
Mm, that is absolutely beautiful. And as a closing question, Cindee, out of curiosity, all those decades that you just spent burnt out and on that hamster wheel and ripping and running and just doing so much and just wearing yourself out, what do you love best about this version of yourself, Cindee 2.0?
Uh, Peace.
Mm,
Have peace. Not as the world gives. If the world gives external peace,
mhm,
and we'll never have that. We'll never be free of all wars and free. We'll never, but we search for that.
mhm,
I'm talking about just true peace in your inner peace and just being able to breathe. I have hard things going on in our life right now.
mhm.
Things we all have hard things
Sure
going on in
do.
our life right now, but we can have joy and we can have hard and hold them in both of our hands at the very same time. But if we're always waiting for the hard to go away, we'll never experience the joy.
Mhm,
And I think just knowing that, just that peace is it just like you've got this. You've got this. Yeah, it's hard, but you also got the joy. Just experience your life and have peace in it.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.